Good evening. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to our Valentine's special, our February the 14th work session. It's so special we decided to meet at 5 and have two meetings in one evening. So how about that? But all members are present, so we'd like to call the meeting to order. Not a heavy agenda tonight, but a good one nonetheless. So Dr. Howard, we'll go ahead and start with you, Superintendent's comments.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Clarsey, and thanks to all staff and visitors who are here. I want to send a very special thank you out to our board who has dedicated a tremendous amount of time in the past month doing a due diligence with a superintendent search, and I know that that's an arduous task and takes a lot of time, so I want you all to know from me how much I appreciate the thoughtfulness that you are putting into that. Just a few comments tonight. A reminder that on Monday, February the 28th, our Jackson County Chamber of Commerce partners... I think I need to mute. Sorry, Mr. McCoy. That work? Thank you. Partners with Linear Tech and sponsors an acknowledgement and really a celebration of our star student and star teacher, as well as each of our teachers of the year. That will be at 6:30, and they're moving it to Jackson EMC this year to accommodate. I do want to ask the board, in years past, we have provided really a bio of each of the teachers of the year and the star teacher and the star student. And we can continue that. Either the board chair or the vice chair have gone to the front and read the bios of each of those folks. Happy to continue that if that's what you'd like. Dr. Briscoe also offered to do sort of a slide deck that does some of that for you in print with a short video. You all could still go up and introduce them and so forth, but it may take some of the burden off of you reading. It doesn't matter, but you all think about that. Dr. Briscoe's offered that service. I think it would be it would be really nice to do a video, so you all think about how you'd like to handle that. What do you think?
I think for the sake of the folks in attendance, if we would just introduce them and do as Ms. Briscoe suggests, that would be more.
Having that, that possibility to do that now, that makes it.
I think. Great. So Dr. Briscoe and I will work together with Ms. Todd, and then we'll call the chamber and make sure they know that that's how we're going to present it and make sure it's good. I love the idea, and I think it's we have a lot of 10 or 11 people to read about, and then the star student, star teacher. That'll be nice. So thank you, Dr. Briscoe, for extending that offer. Then a reminder that the Board of Education and Board of Commissioners annual training retreat, as if you haven't already invested a few hours, we're going to ask a few more, March the 3rd and the 4th. I have attached there a draft agenda for your review. We don't have a heavy agenda, so we could start the night before. I suggest we start about 4 or 5 and just do a couple of hours, and then depending upon your process, we do have a Parent Advisory Council meeting scheduled for March the 3rd at 7 p.m., so we could meet for a little while before Parent Advisory and roll right into that meeting at Empower. But you have an agenda there for your review. We are going to primarily focus on budget and personnel requests, where we are with the process there. But in light of a new superintendent coming on, I feel like it's real important that we honor that person's thoughts with this work as well. So just a reminder. And then the last item that I just want to bring to your attention is really a request of Jackson County High School, and wanted to make sure that this was something that you would support. The Jackson County High School baseball team has been invited to play among the Braves at Truist Park on the afternoon of April the 15th, which is a pretty amazing opportunity. We have the whole baseball team and lots of staff members that want to go along with students. And so because this is such a rare opportunity, I wanted to get your ideas or your support. They would like to do an early release on that day so that we don't have a lot of kids missing school. We need kids in school, but at the same time, we, as you might know, if you've got a lot of students that are not there, they likely would have to repeat whatever they were doing that day anyway. So unless you have objection, I would like to support that request, and just think about it and let me know if you have any concerns, okay? And facilities and operations, we've still got lots of work going, so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Gilbert and Mr. Patton for some updates from facilities.
We will run through the project report, and if anybody has any questions, just let me know. Empower, the big thing in Empower right now, we have completed phase 2, which was our construction project down there. We're right now working with the chamber on the A-wing project. We had preliminary budget came in today. Y'all probably saw me meeting with them earlier. And bids will be, we're going to bid it out, and then bids will be due March the 11th. So we look to bring something to you later on in March for the chamber project. If you look on there, consideration for infrastructure improvements, and that would be using the remaining funds from Phase 2. The new middle school, we've got our revised drawings on last Friday. So right now, working with subs to verify pricing based on the revised drawings, and looking to bring the GMP. That says February the 18th. It's actually February 25th. Yes, ma'am. East Jackson Turf Field is still on schedule. We do have on the board agenda, I know we've already talked about the project budget on that, but we did not approve the funding source for that. So if you see that on the agenda, that's what that's about. It's the same amount of money we talked about before. It's just the actual source we didn't have on before, and that being a SPLOST project, so it needs to come through.
The Eagle logo in the center. Are we doing the end zones?
It's in the center, and we're doing the end zones. Yeah. Yeah, I thought I'd shared that one with you, but I'll get everybody a picture of that.
I don't remember it, so.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get everybody a picture of that. It's a really good looking field.
So you striping it for soccer as well? It'll
Yes,
have the
sir.
soccer
Mhm.
line? Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. It's as far as the striping layout, everything. It's identical to what we did at Jackson County High School.
Okay.
It was. Just if you remember those at all, the one we ended up going with was the blue end zones, which I mean it's the blue end zones. There was one that we had shared at one point with a blue end zone and a white end zone. The white had a little concern with the white, but yeah, it's really going to be a sharp looking field. But we'll get that shared with everybody.
So you, go ahead, Ms. Wheeler.
I was just gonna say, I mean, the folks at Jackson have had input.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. They, I mean, we let them come up with the design of, the end zones and what logos they want to use.
So still planning after graduation or
The-
before, or?
Right now, the schedule we've got is the day after graduation. They'll show up, and then completion of September the 1st. The school has agreed to all their August games. They'll play away, but I think it ended up being 2 games, and I don't think it was even really a conflict. But so September 1st.
Okay. Can you explain, or what do you mean by this state contract pricing?
On
For
the
turf field, is the state contract pricing as part of the new track or part of the turf field?
It's both. It's the track and the turf.
It just means we don't have to bid it out. We don't have to go out to bid more because the state has basically already done that for us. And if we use a state-approved vendor and their pricing, we don't have to do an RFP and go out to bid. They've done that process for us.
And everything, we broke down the pricing. We had them, break everything down, and everything on it is below the state pricing.
So,
which we
so who's
pretty good
the,
about.
if I understand this right, so they have, turf fields are, specific vendors, specific installers. Generally, your state contract pricing may not be for something that is this specialized. So are we going to be able to have the installers and the subcontractors that are qualified to do this?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They'll be using the same contractor. So Field Turf has the state contract.
Okay. That's the actual turf, and then the filler.
And they handle everything so everything up underneath that, the grading, the storm drainage, the track, everything is covered under that umbrella on the state contract price.
Field turf
Okay.
is used for Jackson County.
It is.
Same-
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
It's the same group that did that one.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Be the same spec, I presume.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just want to.
Yeah, it's all under that same envelope.
We've been together too long. Okay. Appreciate that,
Yeah.
Bo. Sorry to jump in the middle of this, but I wanted to
No,
make
that's
sure I
good.
understood the state. I'm familiar with state contract pricing, but I'm not familiar with it in this application.
Yeah, on this one, it does, and I understand too where you're coming from. It covers the entire, even down, there's some electrical that has to be added, for the clocks on the ends, we're taking care of that. So it actually, all of that's covered under the state contract as well.
Are you getting maintenance equipment as part of this, so
Yes.
you can
Yeah.
scrape or whatever? You know what I'm
The
talking
fluffer
about.
and
That's
the
right.
spreader. Yeah, those are included. Yeah. There will be some athletic equipment that we get with this as well. The next thing on there is just a reminder of the next year we'll get portables. That number may grow a little between now and then.
In addition to what we already have.
Yes, ma'am. They have 4 total classrooms. Yes.
So where's the 4 to 6, if you don't mind me asking?
So, yeah. So actually, around back in the, as close as we can put them to the hill in the cul-de-sac.
Okay.
So the buses can still turn around. I think it's a really good spot for them, I think, over there.
Reasonably short, uncovered walk, I guess, from
Yeah.
the school to
Yeah,
the.
you remember where the playground used to be?
I do. I do.
That door, they'll be, we got to be 25 feet with the trailer, which will put the ramp probably 10 feet from that door. So
Okay.
really close.
And then at the West Jackson Middle School, if you don't mind me asking.
Probably on the right side in the front. Well, it depends on which way you're facing. Kind of the way the ones are sitting now in the front of the building. We'll
Yeah.
put them on the other side of the
So if I'm a parent and I enter the legal front door, you're talking about over to the left or?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
You're going to just add more there,
Mm-hmm.
cannibalize some parking?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What about North Jackson?
So Norse will go, if you're familiar with where the ones are now and the gym, that space in between, they'll
Okay.
be lined up just like the ones are now, but in between the two.
Okay. And then West Elementary, there's a little more room in the front?
So West Elementaries will connect to the 4 that are there now.
Okay.
So, yeah,
So the principals are all on board?
Yeah.
And how to use them and all that good stuff? Okay.
they are.
All right.
They're ready for them.
Okay. Thank you for that.
And we've got property sales. Just a little update on Gordon Street there, and reminder, I guess our March board meeting here will be the farewell. And just our other property purchases that were on here. So that's it.
Financials down below, if anybody has any questions on them.
I do have one more. It wasn't on here. As an awareness, I know the wrestling room at Jackson County High School has been a big talk for everybody, and something we've been trying to work through. In working with the school, I think at this point, it's going to be best if where the curtain wall is in the gym, just build a wall across the gym, which will provide them everything that they need. And the school's in support of that as well. So I think it's a good option for us.
What kind of money are we talking about?
So to do the wall, floor to deck, and sound's an issue. It's a couple of doors. There's another section of wall. It's around $85,000. And that's painting it finished. Yeah, it is. And I mean, I think that's a good.
It's not metal stud? Will it be metal stud?
No, it will be metal stud. And it'll be metal stud and abuse resistant drywall like we've used everywhere else in there. So, that one's been
I'd love to have an opportunity to talk about that offline. Not that I'm opposed to it, but I want to learn a little more about it.
Okay.
And not in this venue, if that makes
Perfect.
sense. I would like to. I meant to ask about the chamber.
Yes.
And I apologize. I was making a note about something else. So when are we anticipating that going online? When do we anticipate the chamber being able to move in?
So, doors and hardware and storefront are kind of the holdup right now. But if we get a bids in March, start in April, we expect the doors and hardware to be in August, and the storefront. So it's really, hopefully, a September 1 finish.
Okay.
Doors and hardware, storefront are running, what,
I think it said 18 to 20 weeks earlier.
a long time, so.
So, man.
So you get another spike of COVID, and then I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that.
No.
Thank you.
Howard, do you want me to talk about this?
Sure, I can either one. You have two requests from the city of Houston and from the city of Maysville. Both of them were included. Both of these municipalities are interested in the Board of Education and us supporting the same system that they have in Jefferson for the speed cameras. And so in order for that to be installed, they need to have our support. Right now, the chief at Maysville sits in front of Maysville Elementary School every morning, and so that's his duty, and I'm sure there are other things that he probably needs to attend to. We're grateful for that service. They will do a thorough promotion and let folks know that this is coming online. They install the cameras and they collect the revenue, and our recommendation is if we proceed with this, then we certainly they use that revenue, but we have talked with the city of Houston about the possibility of, if you all support this, partnering in the hiring of our deputies that help direct traffic, and that would be a benefit for us. Right now, we are paying for 2 deputies to help us direct traffic at West Elementary, one at 53 and West Jackson Street, and then one at the post office. And so the revenue that's collected from these cameras, they expect to partner with us on that. That's a little bit of a political hot potato, so I wanted to make sure before we approve that you're aware of it and support of it, and I shared with both of these municipalities that we would talk about it tonight, so I'd love your feedback on that.
I don't want to just monopolize tonight's meeting, so anybody else feel free to chime in.
Is it the program where it automatically sends a ticket to one? So other counties surrounding us have.
They have. They have. It's becoming a pretty regular around schools. It's the kind of the common. It's a great revenue source for the city of Houston and the city of Maysville, and that's why we did that. We don't necessarily want the revenue coming to us. It's not appropriate, but it makes sense if they're willing to partner with us on helping to pay for the deputies that it requires of us to help direct traffic at West Elementary. I think many people have.
You have anything to add about this revenue source for these two cities?
If it cuts down on speeding, especially in front of elementary schools, all for it. If you want to speed, you can speed, not in front of the schools. That's how I feel about it.
I don't have a problem with it.
I don't even,
It is a hot ticket item, I know it is, but,
You're worried about that?
I think we ought to be careful about the cameras and the ticketing in the school zone. I've shared this with Dr. Howard before when this came up just in Houston many moons ago when they first proposed it. It's something that we have to vote and approve. And is that something we really want to be a part of? We are all in favor of safety. No one questions that. But should we participate in, they already have the ability to issue tickets now. I'm in favor of some type of partnership that allows the revenue to help us with resource officers. That's what's really important to me, not that a city receives additional funding. And I'm not saying that's what they're after, because I don't know that. All I know is what we need and what's important to us. So maybe we can, yeah, and they'll give us one chance to really talk about this.
Thank you, Mr. Clarsey, and we can certainly table it. It is an action item, so we'll strike it as an action item and table that decision. I will tell you, just for the record, the city of Houston has a new mayor, and we did meet with the new mayor, myself and Mr. Patton and Mr. Farmer, and we have rerouted traffic, and there's a partnership happening now. So we did hold on this and said, we've got some things to work out before we commit to this. And so that's the reason I'm bringing it back to you, is we've gotten some concessions from them on working with us with traffic. So I thought I would bring it back to you, but I respect completely what you're saying, and it's a hot potato, so we can table it and consider it. All right. The next item there is another item that came forward. Mr. Gilbert, you want to speak to this? Okay.
To share that, it's information tonight. It's not for approval, but 12 Stone Church did come to us some time back, last couple of weeks, and proposed a continuing partnership with the school district. They have been involved with West Elementary and West Middle for some time, and they are going to open a branch of their church in the area, and they've asked to use one of our auditoriums. We are proposing that the auditorium at Empower would be the best one, the least intrusive to the school district versus the one at Jackson County High School. So we've just begun to talk. They want to participate in it. They need about 5 or 6 classrooms for student activities, and then they need, and this is all Sundays only, Sunday mornings from about 6 in the morning till about 2 in the afternoon. They would pay all the costs associated with that, custodial fees and our rental fees, and so we just want to let you know that we're in talks on that, as long as the board is in agreement that that's the direction we should go in. we have not talked fees or money with the church in terms of specifics, but we intend to if this is something that the board would entertain. This would be for probably a 3-year period. They're looking for land now, but that's what they proposed.
At Empower, we've had churches use that I say auditorium, but the performing arts. They've used that in the past, correct?
They did. It was what was the name of it? Yeah, that's right. They were there for some time, and it went pretty well. There's always a few glitches here or there until you get it down to what needs to be. But the main thing is we don't want to cause anybody at Empower any issues when they come in Monday morning. So, but we've done, this is not new. We had a church at West Middle for some time, and so it's not unusual to have this kind of request.
We've been committed for a 3-year agreement though before, haven't we? That's a long time.
I think our policy says that we will do it up to 1 year. So I think we would start with a year, and then we could bring it back, and if the board chose to extend another year, that would be fine. I think the real important thing is that the church is actively moving towards their own permanent location, and that this isn't an ongoing use of our facilities.
So when the church in the past used we were using it as Jackson County High School when
Yes.
they used. Were there any issues with that church? Any scheduling issues? Because they used it through a whole calendar year, correct? Were there,
I would say from time to time, it wasn't, nothing intentional, but anytime you have that much stuff and equipment, like if they were having an art show and they were planning to have the art show for 2 weeks, they'd have to take the whole art show down so that they could have church and put the art show back up. So there are things from time to time. It's not the rule, it's the exception, but, which is why our 2 base high schools, which are very busy and active sites, I would caution us with that just because of the
School buildings are hard to close off to
Yes.
certain areas.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody can tell you what area they're using, but it
Yeah.
tends to
I think we need to think
Overflows.
long and hard on this one. I'm not sure about this.
We can bring back some further details for you, and their intent was to begin either in September or January. So we have time. Good, thank you.
Maybe they'll find them some property by that time.
All right, very good. Thank you for your feedback. We really appreciate that. Anna, you want to share some good news?
That's my favorite, that I get to share good news.
And the good thing is we've been able to share good news for the past few years. We didn't always get to share good
Exactly,
news.
and so that's why I love it, and I don't have to negotiate anything with anybody, I just get to tell you the good stuff, and,
Go back to your car.
yeah, move on. So if you wanna take a look at SPLOST, you'll see that, it
It's
is
big.
our highest collections ever, 1.175 million, amazing. I mean, it surprised me that we got 2 months in a row with above $1 million, so, things are growing and happening, and it's a great thing, and our 12-month average is creeping closer and closer to $950,000 a month, which is another amazing thing to see. And if you look at all the comparisons, month over month, year over year, month over average, it's significantly in each one of those comparison areas. So SPLOST is continuing to do great, and we like seeing that. So then if you want to look at our fund balance, a fund balance comparison, we are still trending quite a bit higher than we were at this time last year, but we have to keep in mind we're also growing, and our expenses are growing significantly, and so we will probably eat into that fund balance a bit more than what we've seen, the last few months of the year as we've seen in the past. So that 38 million, I'm thinking will probably dip somewhere between 2.5 to 3 million each month, which will put us probably somewhere around 25 million plus for the end of the year fund balance, which is great. It's a great thing to see, but again, with our growth and what we're looking at having to forward fund next year for personnel and mobile units and furnishings and all the other things to address our growth, that's definitely gonna be, a needed fund balance. But it's a great thing to see. 38 million is better than negative 3.8 million, so we'll take it.
You're sleeping good at night, huh?
Yes, it helps me sleep a little better, yes, one less thing to worry about. But then if you want to look at our budget to actual, you'll see that at 58% of the year, we've already collected 70% of our budgeted revenues. We're at 90% collections from property taxes, which is amazing. I mean, our tax commissioner and her staff do us justice. They do a great job for us in collecting those taxes and getting them in quick. I was gonna get away with this, with not having to do this. Almost made it through there. Almost made it through. I was in one last section. Then if you want to, of course, the expenditures, we are trending about right where we should be for this time of year. Again, you have to note that that includes open purchase orders. So those are things that have just been requested but have not actually been paid for. But we're still, even including those, we're at 58% with our expenditures, which is right in line where we should be. And so that's kind of one of the things that help us get to a better place with our fund balances. Our revenues are higher than expected, and our expenditures are a little bit less than expected. So everything's trending great, and we'll just keep hoping for that fund balance that will carry us and help us with the growth.
Thank you, Anna. Good news. Ms. Todd, personnel, I have recommendations. The board's going to call an executive session in a moment, so I'll give that to them while we're in executive session. Okay. But then you've got some other updates as well. I do. So great. The report you'll review in executive session is a 3-pager. 'Tis the season. We are entering hiring season. So anticipate that the personnel reports will continue to be lengthy, but I am very proud that some of our principals are already on the hiring wagon. So they're doing interviews and trying to grab some candidates from our pools that are looking really good. The other thing for your review is the enrollment report. Ms. Wilson has provided that, and if you notice, we lost 10 students from November to December, but we have gained those back plus 25. So we have grown 35 students from December to January, continuing our trend of growth here in Jackson County. Oh, and 28 in the last 15 days, Ms. Wilson says.
January, but just since then, you said we're at 970? I mean, 92. 9283 now.
Wow. Again, continuing the pattern here in Jackson County of growth, and excited to welcome those new students to our system. The next thing for review is are some job descriptions. The first one will be the only action item that's on the board agenda for this evening. This is the job description for Director of Student Support Services. In doing a little bit of research, this job description actually has already been on the table for 30 days. It was back in the 20 school year, and it came to you in March and then never made it to the agenda in April. I can understand why, because that's when all the pandemic and things were happening, but we're just trying to catch that up and get it approved because we would love to post for this and hire as soon as possible. So that will be the only action item, is to go ahead and approve this job description. Nothing has been changed since you reviewed it last year, and then it just never made it to that agenda. The next job descriptions you'll see, we will ask that they sit for 30 days for review. The next one is Instructional Technology Coordinator. If you remember the org chart for teaching and learning, this position right now was combined with professional learning, and we're separating those to be 2 separate positions. So this is the job description for Instructional Technology Coordinator. The next one is exciting. This is a job description for lead nurse. So we have been fortunate to receive a grant that will provide us some additional assistance for our student health services. And this job description, we worked with Ms. Brewer and developed some job descriptions to post for that grant funding opportunity.
And then the next ones continue to be the restructure of that department. So currently, Miss Brewer is our lead nurse, but because we now have funding to hire another RN, we will make a district nurse who will be over our regional nurses. So we already have 2 wonderful nurses that are serving our different regions, East and West, but their job description had not been updated to reflect those additional duties. So the regional nurses are currently serving and have been faithfully the East Side and the West Side. Ms. Brewer will become the district nurse. Her RN will cover that. And this grant will provide us with a lead nurse who will be able to go in and provide training to clinic assistants, go in and help with all of the different aspects of scoliosis screening, all of those requirements that we have to do. And per the grant, we had to get our structure in place. And this is how Ms. Brewer and her team have recommended that we proceed. So those job descriptions are there for your review, and we would like to have action on those at the March meeting. Any questions?
So all of the nursing positions, all of that will be funded with grant money? Is that?
Just the lead nurse position, yes, ma'am. And that'll be funded for an RN, which will be wonderful.
So the Northeast Georgia Health District, Dr. Goggins and Olivia Eccles, who is the epidemiologist, reached out to us and asked, they received some federal funds and had some funds that they wanted to partner with us on, and asked us how we would like to use those funds. We were able to submit a proposal to add an RN. So when you say lead nurse, the regional nurses are actually LPNs. So we only have one RN, and really, for a school district our size, we need more than one registered nurse for liability purposes. We have been really fortunate to have great clinic aides who are just who are trained, but they don't have any licensure at all. And then we have the regional nurses who have LPN, and Ms. Brewer has been our only RN. And so we really felt like with these funds, it would be helpful to have a second RN for oversight of all of we have an increased number of students who have health plans, individual health plans, seizure disorders, lots and lots of, and there's a lot to manage with that. So we're grateful for the grant. It's for 2 years, and been wonderful to work with Dr. Goggins and Olivia Eccles. So the board will have to evaluate in a couple of years when that money expires, unless it's extended. Oftentimes those things are extended, whether that's something the board wants to take on. So we can discuss that further from a personnel perspective, but we were required as a part of the grant to explain how our structure would work. We already have these are not, the only new position would be the funded position by the grant. Everything else is already in place.
I just want to make sure I understand how this works. You've done a good job of explaining it. I might want to understand, for someone that doesn't come from education, what this means to the kids, the students in the schools, and ensure that we're not creating some hierarchy system of nurses and making sure it gets out to the schools. That's all. Any questions, Bo? You good? Okay.
And we can talk about it at length, whatever you like. Sure. All right. And I think that's it, right? For Ms. Todd, nothing else in the HR? Okay. So Ms. Dundor, leadership and performance.
Yes, I have shared a PowerPoint slide deck with you. I guess it's not PowerPoint anymore. It's a Google slide deck now. With some updates from the midpoint of the year. In January, at our principals meeting, each of our principals shared the response to 3 questions. Where is my school? How do I know? And what will my next steps be? And that was a really important meeting for all of us, the teaching and learning team, as well as our principals and their admin teams, just to be able to get a glimpse of where we are at the midpoint. And so the data I'm sharing with you there are 2 pieces of updated data that we have at the district level. And I'll just talk you through that, and then we'll be sharing additional data with you at our March retreat. But for this evening, this first page is our math RIT score from the fall, averaged in the fall to average in the winter. And just as a reminder that we give MAP 3 times a year, it's measure of academic progress. And this RIT score, we always describe it as sort of like when you used to take your child to the pediatrician and they had the chart with the X and Y axis, and your kid fits somewhere in here regardless of age. And RIT works that same way. It really gives us a description of a student's instructional level and measures growth from point A to point B. So this line is trending in exactly the direction we would hope it would be trending in. The average from fall to winter shows us growth across all grades K through 8. And then the next few slides are breakdowns for you by school. So let me talk you through the K1-2 slide, and then that will be replicated in the next 2 slides. What you have in these is that RIT score for each of our elementary schools from the fall to the winter, and then the number of growth points that each of those schools achieved for their average, on average. In the right-hand column, those are your national norms. So RIT is normed nationally, and the last time it was normed was 2019 for 2020 norms. So we're comparing ourselves. I think it's important to note that we're comparing ourselves to pre-pandemic norms. You see achievement on average, the average kindergartner in the nation in the winter would be at 150.13 RIT. And that just allows you to see where our average kindergartner is in the winter. And then the average growth for a student in kindergarten from fall to winter is 10.57 RIT points. And then that allows you just to see our average growth by school across those. So that gives you that breakdown. And when you get to second grade and the next slide, third, fourth, and fifth grade, what you have there is a connection to, and I want to shout out to my team for putting this together, the slide deck and this data. Dr. Warwick has put in here a link to our linking study with MAP, which projects proficiency on the milestones exam if that student were to take the milestones today or in the spring. So what this means is if we just we get a pulse check on our second graders and our third and our fourth and fifth graders. But if the average second grader with a 184.6 RIT score took the milestones assessment in the spring, that student would score developing. And so yellow is developing, or a 2. Green is a proficient, or 3, and then dark green is distinguished. And so that just gives you an idea of breakdown by school if our students were to assess on the milestones, where they would land in math on average. And we take the MAP all the way through 8th grade in reading, in math, and then in language usage. So the next few slides I have for you are the exact same data except for reading. Again, we're trending in the right direction. And again, you have that average, those norms out to the right to be able to see where our students are performing. And our goal, we're pleased to see our students, for the most part, at or above the national norm. Our principals and our teaching and learning team are going to get busy pushing our students well past that national average. We know they can achieve at a much higher rate than we are seeing, and we're going to work hard to support them in doing that. Again, you see the link, the color coding there is a link to that linking study that shows that the majority of our students, if they were to test today or in the spring, would score a 2 out of 4 on the milestones, developmental learners. And we're not pleased with that as a team at all. We know we have work to do, and we are ready to do it. And part of that is just getting us fundamentally back into a microscopic focus on literacy, K-12. The reading data actually goes through 10th grade. So we do take the MAP at both of the high schools for our 9th graders and our 10th graders. There is no milestones, which is why you don't see color coding for those 9th and 10th grade scores. But again, it gives you an idea of where our students are performing. You also see in those norms the average growth begins to decrease the older our students get. So the older they get, the less of that big gap number from point A to point B in terms of growth. And so on average, our students are growing at the rate they should be growing, sometimes better than the rate they should be growing. And when you have a student who needs to grow more than a year's worth in 1 year, seeing those high growth rates really is exciting. But we do have work to do, and we are aware. The next few slides are on the second literacy and math measures that we use, and that is Acadience. If you've been in this in education for a while, you might remember Dibbles, especially if you were an elementary person. This is Dibbles, renamed, rebranded. And so just to give you an idea of the way we use the Dibbles or the Acadience data, this is our universal screener in the same way that MAP is. We give this to every student 3 times a year. In the beginning, it allows us to determine which students may need tiered support and which students are being successful at that Tier 1 classroom instructional level. The benchmark goals for Acadience, I want to point out to you, increase every time. And that is a student's path of progress. And the research that Acadience or Dibbles has done indicate that if a student is not meeting those benchmarks each time, then they're going to struggle learning subsequent standards or goals in reading and in math. And so what the data will show us is that we have a number of students who are at or above, and this just is a few slides just to describe. Thank you, Ms. Sane, for adding this information in, how we use this Acadience reading data. So we are seeing, just for example, with kindergarten, in the very first assessment that we gave in the fall, we had 62% of our students at or above the benchmark. We also had 62% when they took it in the winter. Knowing that the benchmark increased, went up, those students moved with it. And so you can take a look at that across. Third grade, we saw a dip in our reading data. 65% of our students met the benchmark the first time around. Only 51% of our students met the benchmark when it was raised. And so we know, based on what we know about third grade and being on grade level, how vital that data is for us. And what our school data teams are able to do is dig into that individual data and to determine really at what level those students need tiered support. Is it in oral reading fluency? Is it in letter sound, letter naming, depending on the grade level? Is it in recall or retell? So they're able to break this data down into very specific data points for that grade level and even for that individual student. And the following slides are the same information with our math data. We saw the opposite trend for math with our third graders. We saw our students meet the benchmark more than 41% met, 48% actually met in third, fourth, and fifth grade. We do recognize that we have some work to do in K1 and 2 in looking at numeracy and having those number talks and really making sure students have a sound sense of number sense. Any questions about that data?
I've got one just personal. On the MAP test, do students have an opportunity to set their own goals? Are they encouraged to do that?
They are encouraged to do that with their teachers. So there is there's a projected goal. So MAP will say you should grow to here for next time. And that goal setting, we have a goal setting worksheet that teachers use with students to set goals. Yes, sir. Yeah. Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dundor. And I just want to say I'm very grateful for the deep dig that our teaching and learning department is doing. I'm excited about this, and I think the more you all continue to focus on this and attend to it, it's going to, a rising tide floats all boats. So I think it's very, very exciting. I know our teachers and leaders are digging in for sure. So, all right, and that's all we have officially for the work session.
So we're going to go into executive session. Can I get a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of personnel? So I have a motion and a second. All in favor? So that's unanimous. We'll go into executive session. We have returned. Can I get a motion to come out of executive session? So I have a motion. I have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right, that's unanimous. We are back from our executive session. There is no action. We stand adjourned. So we ready to go? We ready to go? We ready to go? Okay. I'd like to call the February the 14th a special Valentine's edition of the Jackson County Board of Education. So be sure to tell someone you love them tonight when you get home. I'm sorry to embarrass my fellow board members. So we'll call the meeting to order. We have our first item is our Pledge of Allegiance. We have Miss Rebecca Grogan, our assistant principal from Maysville Elementary. She has a fine group with her, and why don't you tell us, Miss Grogan, who you have?
I have with me Miss Opal White, Bright. She's in kindergarten, and her brother Jet, and they're going to help us with the pledge tonight.
Okay, if we'd stand, please.
When do I say the pledge?
Recommend we start doing that at the work session. That's just good. All right, our next item, as we move through our agenda, is approval of our minutes. So I'll need you guys to just bear with us as we go through a number of meeting minutes. So I'll have to do these individually, meeting by meeting, is my understanding. So first item, first meeting agenda to approve is approval of the minutes from our Monday, January the 10th meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
I've read the minutes, and I make a motion we approve January 10th.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second? Do I have a motion and a second? All in favor to approve the January 10th meeting minutes as submitted? That's unanimous. Next item is our meeting from Saturday, January the 22nd. Yes, that is right. Saturday, January the 22nd. Everyone's had an opportunity to review them. Is there any additions or corrections? Hear none. Do I have a motion to approve? So I have a motion. Do I have a second? So I have a motion and a second from Ms. Anglin. All in favor? That's unanimous. So we have meeting minutes from our Tuesday, January the 25th called meeting. Everyone's had an opportunity to review them. Is there any corrections or additions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from Tuesday, January the 25th? So I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye, that's unanimous. Next item is meeting minutes from Saturday, January the 29th. All members have an opportunity to review them. Is there any corrections or additions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from Saturday, January the 29th? So I have a motion. Do I have a second? So I have a motion and a second. All in favor? That's unanimous. Last one. You're wondering if I was ever getting to the end. I know. So we have meeting minutes from Saturday, February the 12th. All members have an opportunity to review. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from Saturday, February the 12th? So I have a motion. I have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right, that's unanimous. Thank you for bearing with us. We have, next item is the approval of our agenda. So we do have a change to our agenda that was published today. So our consent, we are going to table item I under consent. And then item 3 under consent is going to be removed and voted on separately. So do I have a motion to approve the amended agenda as read and as posted behind me by Dr. Howard? So I have a motion. Do I have a second? So I have a motion and a second. All in favor of Approving the agenda? That's unanimous. All right. Next item is superintendent's comments. Dr. Howard, I'll turn it over to you as I find a bottle of water after all that talk.
One right there. Thank you, Mr. Clarsey and the Board of Education. I'd like to start by thanking our Board of Education. The number of minutes that you heard were a testament to the amount of time that they have invested in the superintendent search. I'm very grateful for how thoughtful and sincere they are taking this effort, and we are grateful for their time. They've spent a lot of time, and I know they're making progress on that effort. So thank you, board members, very much for that. And a special thank you to Ms. Amanda Huell, who's partnered with them on that and taken care of them over the past month. Each month, we get the opportunity to highlight one of our schools. Before the pandemic, we were visiting schools, and we haven't returned to that process yet. We will likely do that next year, I hope. But tonight, we have the privilege of hearing some highlights from the amazing Maysville Elementary School. So I'm going to ask Dr. Archibald if she can join us at the podium, and any students or partners in the work that she would like to join her. And I'm going to pull up your presentation and let you tell me how to drive. How about that?
A little bit shorter. I apologize there. Y'all might need to lift it back up. Thank you. We fortunately don't have sound this evening. Last year our presentation was a little choppy on sound, and so this evening all the sound that you're going to hear through our presentation is going to be through a short piece of just my voice as an introduction, but the voices of our teachers in our building and the work that has been ongoing. And as I was tuning into the work session on my drive over and listening to that, I was listening to Mrs. Dundor speak about our data that we've seen, not only with our MAP assessment, how our students have grown from fall to winter, but also what our projected students' level of proficiency are throughout. And so I was telling her just before this meeting how fortuitous this was, because our presentation is very much aligned to how we are trying to not only be innovative in the way in which we respond, but how we are also trying to be very proactive while having to be responsive to what we have identified not only as our students' needs academically, what we're seeing for trends overall by grade level and as a school in both reading and math. And something that has been such a blessing to us for our school, and I know all of our schools here in Jackson County, has been the inclusion of CARES funding for the last 2 school years. And CARES funding has allowed us to kind of put the cherry on the top and the steroid push to our Title I funding for all of our efforts to meet our kids' needs, as I said, innovatively, responsively, and proactively. And I'm so excited to share with you through our teachers' voices this evening how we have worked to not only meet our kids exactly where they are, meet our families exactly where they are, and all of our teachers at the same time where they are with instruction. We pride ourselves in being that amazing Maysville, as you heard Dr. Howard say. The efforts of not only our students and families, but this evening our teachers. I've asked them to share from their heart. You'll see that some may have a note card, but I said, please share. We're going to be showing some pictures this evening, and through their voices, we want to share with you this evening a little bit about our Soaring Eagle Academy that's been ongoing now for 2 school years, and the accomplishments, the growth, but also the amazing achievement gains that we've seen in our students by extending learning opportunities outside of the traditional school day at Maysville. So I'm going to turn things over now to Ms. Asia Ledford, who is our 4th and 5th grade EIP and intervention specialist, Ms. Gay Chandler, who is our kindergarten and 1st grade EIP teacher and intervention specialist, and Ms. Dawn Brewer, who's getting right in the middle with 3rd grade as a homeroom teacher. And so, ladies.
So in honor of Valentine's Day, we're going to talk to you guys tonight about, from our hearts, about the experiences that the students have, that the teachers have, and that our parents have based on our tutoring program. Tutoring has started quite the buzz in our building. Anything from, did you get a letter? It's like a golden ticket at our school. If you get the tutoring letter, they're talking, I got a letter, did you get a letter? To what your data looks like. I grew in MAP. I didn't grow, but I met my goal. I didn't meet my goal. to teachers talking about when are we going to start back. Everybody's excited. It's just the buzz in the building. So using data, we select students in 1st through 5th grade to be part of our program. We also select teachers, and they cover 2 bands, so it's like 1st and 2nd grade comes together, 2nd and 3rd grade. And then using our school-wide data, we chose an area of focus. So based on our data, we saw a weakness in informational text and numbers and operations base 10. So we provide the RIT level for every student that's in tutoring to their teachers, and the teachers are laser focused on those 2 areas. The students you can see in the pictures here are excited. It is a very excited time. It's not only excited that they were selected, but what are we going to have for snack? What game are we going to play? Who's going to be in my room today? So on the one corner, we have a 4th and 5th grade student that are playing a bingo game. At the bottom down here, we have a group of students that are working on informational text playing bingo. And then on the side, we have the students, they're fishing for sight words. And so everything that we do during tutoring is game-based, and Ms. Brewer is going to talk more about that. But we made a pledge to our students that there's no pencil and paper. So the only time there is pencil and paper is for the post-assessment and the pre-assessment at the beginning. So one of the other things that we were able to incorporate this summer is specials. So our students had a specials block during the summer. The food corps person came in and did a cooking special with them. They had art, STEM, and PE. So it's just, the kids are just fired up about it, and they're excited. A student stopped me yesterday in the hall. When are we going to start back? When are we going to start back? So they're very excited. And we believe that because of the engagement and the excitement, that students are growing. And last winter, or in the winter, our data showed 88% of our students met or exceeded their MAP growth goals. So that's what the data shows. And Ms. Ms. Brewer is going to talk a little bit more about the teacher experience.
Like Ms. Ledford said, the kids come and they are just fired up to be there, which that starts us off on a positive anyway. This summer I had twins that were in my class, and on the very first day, only one of them showed up. And the sister said, oh, he didn't want to come, it's going to be boring. We're like, okay, his loss. And believe it or not, the next day and every day afterwards, the brother was there too, because the sister went home talking about how much fun it was. So that was neat. But our philosophy on our Soaring Eagle Academy kind of evolved into more game-based learning. And I know you think about technology when you think about game-based learning, but we just really took it back to the basics, because after the pandemic, I think we've all had a little bit too much technology. But the game board and the game-based learning really fosters a whole lot of things that help lead to growth. And one of the things is just a lot of the social emotional learning, which all kids need, but especially our kids at Maysville. We build relationships through those games. There's a lot of collaboration, which in turn leads to higher order thinking skills, just huge engagement. And when you've got engagement and motivation and higher order thinking skills, of course, that student achievement is going to come along. So all of those are great, but bottom line, as a teacher, it is like the funnest part of my day, because it's just fun, and you get to, you don't have quite all the paperwork stuff. It's truly just observation and engagement, and it's led to true growth. We're not distracted with anything else except truly building those relationships that can help foster that academic growth. So it is awesome. And I'm going to let Ms. Chandler talk to you now about the parent experience.
Well, she is exactly right. When we send out a survey to our teachers asking who would like to participate, we were kind of nervous when we got started, but we were overwhelmed once those surveys started coming back. And it's gotten even better as time has gone on, because our teachers, through word of mouth and through the excitement of the kids, we're having more and more people volunteering to help us. So that's a great thing to happen and a true blessing at our school. If we'll go to the next slide. I'm going to talk about the Parent Academy. This is something that is near and dear to my heart, because I have been at Maysville for over 20 years, and it takes a team in order to get these kids to grow. And we have definitely seen that growth through our tutoring program. So the thing that we decided to implement this past summer was on the last day of tutoring, we invited our parents to come in and participate with the students and the teachers to learn some of the games that the students had been playing. These kids got to take home their packets, and I'll let Ms. Ledford hold up the packet. They get 5 books based on their level. It also comes with literacy games and math games. And these are games that we played throughout the course of the tutoring sessions, so the students know how to play. And then we sit down with the parents during the Parent Academy and let the kids interact. We interact with them, make sure that they go home and know how to play the games with the kids. This created quite the buzz. When we had it over the summer, the top picture you can see, Ms. Brewer's holding the card to her head. We only had 13 parents show up that time. But then we had it again when we concluded our fall session, and you can see the full gym. We went from 13 parents to 88. So that's just a huge testament to bringing these kids in and getting them engaged and making them feel comfortable and secure and willing to, step out on something that they don't feel as comfortable about. They are supported as well as our parents. So like I said, this is something we've been working hard to improve at our school, and this is one way we've been able to accomplish that. If you'll switch to the next one. This is a picture of our parent packets. You see 2 different ones. Every time, after every session, we do send the students home with 5 books. They also get a literacy game and a math game with each one. Over the summer, we wrapped the books up, and we had it as a presentation with their lunch that day, and so that it just built that excitement for the students, and they were already ready to go home and sink their teeth into those books. So we were excited about that. Tutoring, it just doesn't stop with tutoring. We have implemented a lot of things to go beyond the tutoring. Ms. Ledford is going to hold up our Newcomer vocabulary binders. And this is for students that are just learning a new language. We send it home with all of our students that may need a little bit more support with their vocabulary. We also, this year, have sent home, well, it was this past year, sent home kindergarten roundup packets. Each student that came in for kindergarten roundup got a sight word ring with the first 25 sight words. They've got their letters, upper and lowercase, their numbers 0 through 20. They've got a book, scissors, pencils, and also a little pamphlet about our 7 mindsets and just the programs that we offer through our school. So those are some things that we're doing, as well as we are also providing books to our kindergarten through 1st grade families. That's something we offered last year. And any supplies that we don't pass out to our kids during tutoring, if we have extra packets left over, we provide those to our Tier 2 and Tier 3 families when they come in for those meetings, because a lot of times they don't know how to support their kids. So that's another way that we can use those resources, and they're not just sitting around. We are very excited about what's going on at Maysville, and we encourage anyone who wants to come and visit us. Our door is always open. And we would, if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with us, and we'd be happy to share.
Thank you, Dr. Archibald. There's a reason they call it Amazing Maysville. It is quite amazing, and we are very grateful for that deliberate and very intentional planning that's taken place, and it's paying off. And so thank you so much, and thank you, teachers, for being here and giving up your evening. We are always glad to have you, for sure. All right. Let me see if I can navigate here. Each month, we also have the privilege of recognizing 2 high school students and 2 teachers of their choice. And these are folks that our Jefferson Rotary honors for their citizenship and their achievements. And so if I could ask Mr. Wester to come forward. He is first on the list, and Mr. Wester will bring to us the student and the teacher from Jackson County High School this month.
Well, good evening, everyone. Make sure And it's a special night for me just because I get to bring my daughter up tonight, which is not always something that you get to do. So I'm grateful for that and this chance to recognize Megan Wester, who is the Rotary Student of the Month for Jackson County High School. Her most influential teacher is Ms. Heather Hamrick, who you've seen before up here. And unfortunately, Ms. Hamrick is not feeling well today. And I actually called her around lunchtime and said, you will not come to the meeting tonight, because she was going to come even though she stayed home today very sick. So she definitely wanted to come, but we said, hey, we'll take care of it without you. And we know she's here in spirit. But just to touch base a little bit about Megan, first off, her most important parent is also here, my wife Suzanne, who is here as well. We're grateful for all of her efforts in supporting all of our children, but Megan especially this evening. And Megan is a senior at Jackson County High School, and currently she is taking French 1, AP Government, AP Econ, Psychology, AP Calculus, and then she does a few periods of work-based learning where she serves as a student assistant for one of our teachers, and she also teaches dance at her dance studio, where she also is a ballerina. Her most influential teacher is Ms. Heather Hamrick. Previously, Megan has also taken AP Human Geography, AP World History, AP Language, AP U.S. History, and AP Literature as she's preparing herself for her future. In terms of her activities and other things that she's been involved in her career at Jackson County, she has been a 4-year varsity spirit cheerleader. She is a member of the National Honor Society and the Beta Club. She was selected to be part of the Jackson County Student Leadership Team. She is the principal dancer at the Walker School of Ballet, and she's a member of her church youth leadership team as well. Some of the honors and awards that Megan has earned include the Positive Athlete Georgia nominee. She's gotten that for the last 3 years. She is a 3-year Scholar Athlete Award winner. She lettered in track for a year. She is a 2-year varsity competition cheerletterman and a 3-year spirit cheerletterman. She was a selection in 2019 for the NCAA All-American Cheerleader team. And in 2021, she was one of our Jackson County High School Athletic Directors Award winners. We're certainly proud of Megan, and certainly I'm very proud of her, and humbled by all that she's achieved, because that was nothing like what I did in high school. So say that out front. She takes after her mother, thank heavens. But I'd like her for a moment, if she would like, to talk a little bit about her future plans, and also talk just for a second about Ms. Hamrick, who we certainly love at Jackson County. Megan?
Thank you, Dad. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I'm really honored to be here. This opportunity means a lot to me. Hopefully, after I leave Jackson County, which I'm very sad about, but I plan to go out to Provo, Utah for college and major in cultural anthropology, and I'm really excited about it. As far as Ms. Hamrick goes, I don't even know where to start. Ms. Hamrick is the kind of teacher that will remember your birthday, even though you say it once. 6 months later, she's there with a gift. It's amazing. She'll remember that you have a dance recital at the end of the year, and she'll show up even though you said the venue one time. She's earned the respect and the love of all of her students. We all love Ms. Hamrick. I had her for one class, freshman year in biology. I hate science. But somehow I've ended up in Ms. Hamrick's class every year since, even though I could have a free period and go home. It's okay, though. I love hanging out with Ms. Hamrick. Mrs. Hamrick has taught me to believe in myself and has taught me that there's more inside of you than on the outside of you, which I think is really important. It's probably the most important life lessons I've learned throughout high school. Ms. Hamrick will never give up on you, even if you've given up on yourself. I'm really grateful for her, and I'm crying. So it's a good thing she's not here, because this would be embarrassing for me. She would never let me live this down. I'm really grateful for Jackson County and giving me Ms. Hamrick as a mentor and as an example, and I'm really grateful to be here too. Thank you.
Congratulations, Megan and Mr. and Ms. Wester. We are very proud of all of you and grateful that you're here. And I see Ms. Palmer and East Jackson High School student representative coming forward. We look forward to hearing about Mr. Addison Bauman and his teacher of choice, who we all know and love.
Good evening. Congratulations, Megan and Mr. and Mrs. Wester. I have with me tonight the East Jackson High School Rotary Student of the Month, Addison Bauman, and his mom, Ingrid, is with us. She's back there in the back. She's also a Jackson County School System employee. Addison is currently taking a number of difficult classes, AP Calculus, and so I'm assuming that your favorite teacher is subbing in there right now, right? Yeah, because his regular teacher's on maternity leave, and so Mr. Briscoe is subbing during his planning period, AP Calculus right now. He's taking Intro to Business and Technology, Applications and Essentials of Biotechnology, a number of dual enrollment classes, including English 1102, Public Speaking, Political Science, Macroeconomics, and Psychology. Again, all dual enrollment courses that he'll earn college credit for. And then he finishes up with some weight training. His activities and community service include he is our Beta Club secretary, the FBLA president. He is on the Jackson County Student Leadership Team. He is on our academic team, and he's also a team lead at Chick-fil-A. He is involved in our tennis program, which of course is very active in the spring. He has a number of honors and awards under his belt, including the Georgia Merit Scholar. He was a nominee for Mr. EJCHS. He had the highest GPA in his AP Human Geography class and his AP Biology class. He is lettered in tennis. He is an academic letterman. He has maintained a 4.0 GPA during his entire time in high school, and he was a Governor's Honors semifinalist in both his sophomore and junior years. As we've mentioned multiple times here at East Jackson, we really stress community service, and he has logged over 200 hours of community service during his time at East Jackson. Some of that with iServe Ministries, of course, through our Beta Club. He is also a volunteer with ESP, which is the Extra Special People Program. And he's going to share a little bit about what he's going to do after high school and his most influential teacher.
Thank you so much, Ms. Palmer. I want to thank all of you for having me here. It's a great honor. Thank you for my mom for coming. I wouldn't be nearly the person I am today without her. A little bit about Mr. Andy Briscoe here. I've had him every year for my high school career, whether it's geometry 9th grade year, TAA, or filling in as our AP Calculus teacher. He's always treated me with the utmost respect and has pushed me to be the greatest me I can be. After my high school career, I plan on attending the University of Georgia and majoring in political science. I have the intent to potentially become a lawyer. I've thought about becoming a real estate lawyer, but I'm still to see where the future holds for me. Thank you so much for having me here, and yeah, thank you.
Congratulations, Addison and Mr. Briscoe and Ingrid, Ms. Bobman back there. We know you are thrilled on the inside and out. You should be. So congratulations to all. We are glad you're here. Mindset Matter recognitions. I believe that our Mindset Matter this month was actually our transportation recognition. I don't think we had a Mindset Matter. So, Mr. Wester, I'm looking at Mr. Wester. Mr. Farmer, I'm going to jump straight to you for our transportation recognition.
Thank you, Dr. Howard and Board. I always appreciate the opportunity to come and recognize outstanding individuals that have such a great connection with our students. And they do one of the, if not the toughest jobs in the county, and that is transporting our students to and from school safely. So, Mr. Wilson, if you and Zach Holtzclaw will come forward, please. And while they're coming forward, I just want to talk a little bit about Mr. Wilson. He is one of those gentlemen that never meets a stranger. If you don't know him, you will before the night's over. He'll come up and talk to you and carry on a conversation, and he's like me. Sometimes he has to be put on a timer as how long he gets to talk. So I told him tonight I had about 30 minutes, and I think he's going to take about 45. So are we on track so far, right, Mr. Clarsey? So, okay.
Keep on going.
All right, sounds good. But I remember the first time I met Mr. Wilson, and he was just a nice guy, just one of those salt-of-the-earth people, and it's amazing how much he loves our students and how much they love him, and that's the key. I had a call from an assistant principal one day, and she said, I just have to tell you this. And I said, well, what is it? She said, it's about one of your drivers. And I was like, okay. So I thought, all right, well, what have we done this time? And she said, no, it's not like that. She said that we had a sub for our subdivisions, traditions, and they were like, oh no, we got a sub, it's not Mr. Pete. So Mr. Wilson pulls in, and when they see him, they literally start jumping up, clapping, and cheering that it's Mr. Wilson. And I said, that is great. So I shared that with him, and it's been a while ago. But that is the kind of love that he not only portrays to his students, but they give it back. And then I was at the high school running a route the other day, and I get off the bus, and I'm walking down the sidewalk waiting on my people, and he does a Empower transfer for us in the afternoon. So I look, and these kids are coming up to me and pat me on the back and say, hey, I really like our driver. He's great. And just start carrying on about him. I was like, who are you talking about? And who else do I see but Mr. Wilson? And, you know, he got off, and we talked. And this is the kind of individual he is. He is a model for all of us. And his dedication and his love for our students is unsurpassed. I've never seen anybody love a job as much as he does, and he absolutely, even during COVID, whenever he was called upon, he met that challenge, and he met the call. He was there when other people weren't. Anytime I need something, I'll call him, and I'll say, Mr. Wilson, I know you're 3 minutes away, and I know it's 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, but listen, we got a bus over here at the high school left its lights on. Do you mind go turn them off? Yes, Mr. Farmer, I'll go right there, and he goes. Anytime on the radio we need something, if this man can do it, and if we could hook a bus behind his other bus, he'd haul as many students as he could hold. But he has such a wonderful gift and such a kind heart. And Mr. Wilson, I just want to say that I appreciate you, sir. The one other thing I'm going to tell, and I got to tell this on you. He pulled up one day, and I remember it was in a 2016 model bus. And he pulls up, and you walk up beside it, and it's so shiny you have to wear sunglasses because he's waxed it and cleaned it. But he put hubcaps on it. And I've never seen a bus with hubcaps. But he only had one side. And that was the side that pulled up to where the students could load. He didn't find the other ones yet, but he was working on it. But they were just as shiny as his personality, and that's the best way I can describe it. So I'm going to let Zach give you some good news tonight. We did receive our 5 new buses, and we are excited about giving those out. After ordering them back in the summer, they finally did get here. But Zach, I'm going to let you say a little bit about Mr. Wilson and go ahead and give him some good news, and then I'll finish out.
I want to add to what Mr. Farmer was saying. Timothy is one of our drivers that every time a coach is doing sports trips or whatever, they call and say, is Timothy available? And, you know, we have many drivers that go above and beyond what they have to, but Timothy, if you ever see him, he's always sporting something Jackson County. And it's because all these coaches love him and they supply him with his attire. I mean, they really appreciate the job that he does. He has been in bus 17-1, which is a 16-17 model. And we are moving him to 23-5, so you will be in a brand new bus as soon as it gets cameras and radios.
Now, we have one more thing. Don't leave yet. It does include air conditioning on that bus. And we appreciate what our board and Dr. Howard did, having the fortitude to do that. And our students appreciate it also, along with all our drivers. So. But Mr. Wilson, I appreciate you, sir. It's humbling to be able to work with such a fine individual. And I want to say to all our drivers, we have just a wonderful group that we work with. All the drivers that we have are top-notch. They are the best in the state. And I just appreciate each and every one of them. And it's my honor to be able to have the privilege to recommend and just to recognize all of them, but especially one more. And Mr. Wilson, on behalf of the transportation partner, sir, we appreciate you. And I just want to say thank you, and it's an honor to work with you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Farmer. Mr. Wilson was one of those, like when COVID hit too, when we all were like scrambling. He's the first one at East Jackson High School to help us start packing lunches to deliver to kids. That was way outside of his call of duty for a bus driver, but he's always there to help and serve our kids, and we are forever grateful. So what an honor. Congratulations. Well deserved. Appreciate you. All right. I do want to make mention of Mindset Matters. We do have those Mindset Matters. I know that Dr. Briscoe works hard on that. Those go out on social media. And I think Mr. McCoy, do you have those Mindset Matters, or we will make sure that we'll make sure that they're shared on social media, and we appreciate the continued focus on the 7 mindsets and the efforts that our schools make to recognize our students and teachers who are holding themselves 100% accountable and putting passion first. So thank you again. And with all of that, that is all the comments that we have. So thank you, Mr. Clarsey and the board.
Thank you, Dr. Howard. Mr. Farmer, you left a few minutes on the table. You'll start gasping if we give you the mic back, I'm sure. Our next item on our agenda is our public comment period. Do we have anyone here wishing to weigh in on public comment tonight? Is there anyone online, Dr. Howard? I guess hearing none, we will move on to our consent agenda. I'll remind you that we have tabled item 1, and we will be voting on items 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So do I have a motion to approve the items that are left on the consent agenda? So I have a motion and a second. All in favor of approval of the consent agenda? That's unanimous. Our next item is item 3. We will vote on it. It is the attached personnel list. So do I have a motion to approve item 3, the personnel list? So I have a motion. Do I have a second? So I have a motion and I have a second from Ms. Wheeler. All in favor? All in favor? And we have 1 abstention. So that's 4 in favor and 1 abstention. Ms. Anglin abstained from that vote. All right. Considering that we're all good, next item is executive session. We do have a need for the board to meet for the purpose of personnel. So do I have a motion to go into executive session? So I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All in favor? It's unanimous. We'll go to executive session. we'll check the tape for Miss Dodge and her Mary J. Blige outfit, I guess. All right, here we go. But before we spiral out of control, let's do I have a motion to come back from executive session? So I have a motion. Do I have a second? So I have a motion and a second. All in favor to come back from executive session? That's unanimous. We stand adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead, home.